Hello everyone, thank you very, very much for coming along to this session. Absolutely delighted to be in Edinburgh, not least because it took us till midnight last night to get here. So, we're absolutely thrilled. And thank you to the MA for choosing this session to be part of the conference. Just bear with me. Okay, so I'm the head of programme for House of Memories at National Museums Liverpool. Today we're also going to be hearing from a number of other people. Abdul Wais, we're going to be hearing from on video, and he's a young ambassador from the Yemeni community in Liverpool. Unfortunately, he couldn't come today because of his university commitment, so we've done a pre-record with him. I'm also joined by Sabah Ahmed, who's with us in the front row here, and she's going to be talking to you and doing a Q&A as well. And later we'll be joined by Miriam Al-Hanshali, who is going to join us for the Q&A virtually. So it's a bit of a blended session, this one. Just as a description, I'm a white woman, I've got shoulder-length red hair, and I'm wearing a purple shirt, and I'm wearing glasses. Okay, so as I said, I'm from National Museums Liverpool. We're a group of 7 museums in Liverpool. If you haven't been, please come and see us. Lovely venues. The Museum of Liverpool is where we do a lot of our House of Memories work, because that is where our social history collections are. House of Memories itself is a dementia awareness programme, and it's designed to support professional carers and family members to support those living with dementia. But it's very much about the power of objects and the way that objects can connect people to each other and also to their own personal histories and identities, and that can be very useful for families that are, facing a challenge around dementia. So there's 2 outputs from the programme we're going to talk about today. The programme is Connecting with Yemeni Elders Heritage, and the first output is the My House of Memories app. This is a free download and a resource that you could download and use with your communities. The app itself is like a mini museum in your pocket. It's a digital resource which features hundreds of different objects and sound effects, and we've worked with museums all around the country on this project. However, recently we've worked with the Yemeni community in Liverpool, and we've worked with young people and elders to choose content from the community as well as from museum collections. So it's very much a community-based collection. And it's a bilingual resource which is available in Yemeni and in English. The second resource is a toolkit, connecting with communities to create heritage collections, and this is available to download on our website as well. It's a practical guide designed for the museum sector and for the cultural sector, based on the lessons that we've learnt as we've been through this project, and the useful sort of learnings from the community themselves. Very much co-created as well with young people and elders and all of the community groups that we have worked with over the past 18 months. And again, you can download that from the website. So, first person we're going to hear from is Abdul Wais. Abdul is an inspirational young person who approached us because he wanted to know how House of Memories could support his grandmother who is living with dementia. So we applied to Esme Fairbairn Collections Fund to create Yemeni content in our app. And over the past 18 months, we've worked with community centres and youth centres in Liverpool to achieve this. So without further ado, I'm going to put Abdul on.
I've loved it so much. People have been using the app for the likes of the elderly to get see a lot of the memories that they've done in the past. It's like obviously since they were in Yemen, and this app was designed for the Yemeni community to retain some memories. Some of them get quite emotional, some of them get really happy, some of them just remember so many different other stories that they see throughout their whole entire lives when they were back in Yemen. My culture, I believe that it should be included because a lot of the people who have came to Liverpool when they migrated to England, I really do want them to not forget any of their memories they had. I do not really want them to forget any fun activities they've done. My favourite part of the project has been when I see the elderly going on the apps and just tapping different photos and seeing different memories, because when they speak about it, I can picture something. I picture like them in the village, them with a cow, or them with a type of bread, or a type of material, and I just imagine it in my head, and that's being the best, because that's where the memories came from. Throughout this whole entire project, the community has come together, and the youth and the elderly have come together, and that was my main aim, to get them both together and integrate the likes of an elderly man or elderly woman with her grandson or granddaughter. So at the time, I was studying health and social care, and my teacher was covering the content of dementia and Alzheimer's. Obviously, once I started to know a little bit more about it, my grandmother's going through dementia, and obviously at that time I did think that there should be something needed to be done, so that if I feel like my grandmother or grandfather has dementia, they've got something in place for them to still have that connection, and a connection is only having something that they can remember from years and years ago. My mum and my dad, they have been a huge help and a huge support, and they've been with me obviously with every step. They felt like they reconnected with the culture, because every time they see me, any updates with the app, every time I do show them photos or videos, they keep telling me to carry on, never to stop. Before I did start a project, I remember I only went with school trips, but after actually I did start a project with Carol and the team, I felt more confident going to museums, to be honest, and I actually took a tour around different museums in Liverpool. I would say for museums to be more connected, obviously not just in certain projects, but throughout the whole entire year, to be inviting youngsters, giving them tours around the museum, different projects that happen in the museum. There's many youngsters, they do like museums, but they feel like, oh, no one probably, it's boring or something like that. But if they do find it from the other side, that there's more of a connection with the museum, they feel like they want to go there more often. The teams kept me updated throughout the whole entire project, from the beginning to the very end, from the meetings with Carol, from the meetings with leaders in the community, with meetings of youngsters in the community, with many different projects, going to different community centres, the likes of Cumber, the likes of Al Ghazali Centre, the likes of Arabic Yemeni Centre. I've been involved in all of these. Obviously the team been giving me updates from the very beginning to the very end. The app, I believe it's a saviour for many families, and more about rebonding, reconnecting with the elderly and the youngsters. I believe that there's a connection, that's the culture of the elderly person.
So we're really proud of Abdul and all he's achieved with us, and some of the things that we've put in the toolkit. It's great to have that inspiration coming directly from the community and from a young person, but he's also making a great ambassador, and lots of other young people have really took inspiration from Abdul and are sort of following his lead. So that's something we're really thrilled about. We're now going to hear from Saba Ahmed, who she works at the Cumber Millennium Centre, and Abdul knew Saba from supporting events at the Cumber. She's played a key role as a mentor, but also is part of our advisory group that we set up to help navigate the project, and has really helped advise us and hold our hand on the way through. And really thank you, Saba, because we wouldn't be able to achieve what we have without you. Would you like to come in?
Thank you so much. Hello everyone. So my name is Saba Ahmed. I'm a woman of Yemeni heritage, in my 40s, brown skin. I wear a pink hijab and I have a pink blazer on too. So what was my relationship? My relationship with the House of Memories and with National Museums of Liverpool. Well, it actually started a while before the wonderful things that you've just heard Abdul Weiss say. Actually, before that happened, we were really lucky to have lots of conversations with people within the museums, different departments, and to really start that relationship. So I'm a community development worker for an area known as Toxteth in Liverpool, and for a wonderful organisation by the name of the Cumber Millennium Centre, a black-led organisation with real strong community roots. So to be able to have that relationship quite early on in my role was so beneficial for what was about to happen, and who knew that this was going to happen. So Abdul, 14 years of age, when he had an idea, he saw that he wasn't being represented, that his Yemeni grandmother, his Yemeni community weren't being represented in the objects that were really needed to help people spark memories, to support them while they journeyed and lived with dementia and other illnesses such as that. And he wanted to make change happen. a 14-year-old with an idea and an institution such as the National Museums of Liverpool and institutions that you may come from, there's a bit of a disparity. There's a confidence issue as well as other barriers that Abdul Weiss spoke so beautifully about in the video. So for me, it was really important that I could support him to build that relationship and almost act like an intermediary between the both. So supporting Abdul so he doesn't become overwhelmed with lots of the processes and the ways that we work in our institutions, and to also provide advice for our museums, things to look out for and things just to be aware of within our community setting. What was really great for me in particular is that I was brought in at a very early stage, at the bid writing stage. So the idea was there, everyone bought it, it was great. But to be brought in at such an early stage when that pen touches that paper, I think is so vital for our communities. I was able to bring in gems from my Yemeni culture, from my heritage, from my own knowledge, but also the voice of the community from that really early stage. It fed into a bid that Esme Fairbairn loved, and it was successful. Such a big achievement, especially for young Abdul Weiss. Then there was the recruitment process. And for anyone who's just been in one of the earlier sessions about, dismantling white supremacy within our buildings, within our institutions, recruitment was actually one of the focused themes of our particular group, and how complicated we make it. It was really vital that I and people like me were part of that, because we want to recruit the best people for the roles to make our projects the best they can be. You're shortly going to be hearing from a lady called Miriam, who's our community lead on this particular project, and she's fantastic. But it couldn't have happened without the recruitment process being checked. Looking at our use of language, what barriers do we put in place for people not to feel like that they can be part of our museums and parts of our institutions? Not really talking about simplifying English here. It's a return to plain language. It's making sure that people feel like, yeah, I can do that, I can do it well, and I'm going to apply for that. Even taking it right through to interview stage. If we don't understand the question, let's not ask it of our people that we want to apply for our jobs. Being involved in the steering group, as Dawn said, was really vital as well. By that point, I'm not working for the museum, and I am already hooked by this intention of the museum and what they wanted to do. I wanted to be involved. I wanted to be with my fellow Yemeni community, Yemeni organisations, and be part of this, and felt like really valued in that what we had to say was going to be taken on board and applied wherever possible. All of this generated such a vibe in Liverpool, like a real energy. Did you feel it when you heard Abdul speak? Did you feel something inside? Well, that was how it felt in Liverpool. There was a real vibe around Yemen. Yemen's not in our media stories at the moment, guys. I wonder why. But when it came to us celebrating our culture, our pride, it was infectious. So much so that other community groups, other communities were like, we want a piece of that. We want to help you build your Yemeni heritage within the museum, but we also want to showcase our pride. We want to showcase our culture. Our communities want to appear in there too. So what we found is we just scratched the surface when it came to the Yemeni community, and we had our Syrian community, Sudanese, Somali, Eritrean, who all wanted a piece of it and wanted to see themselves in those settings. So, what can I leave you with? What could I possibly leave you with? There are people out there in your communities. Research them. You'll hear Miriam say something about research and how important it is. Map your communities. Spend time before you put your pen to paper. Listen to your communities as well. Listen to people like this 14-year-old boy. And look at what you can do. Can I take that idea and can I make change happen? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Saba. That was fantastic. Thank you so much. So we're quite short on time, so we're now going to hear from Miriam Al-Hanshali, who, as we say, we recruited. She's got Yemeni heritage herself. She's an experienced community worker and project manager, but her role has been really crucial in sort of strengthening our relationship with the community stakeholders. So I will put Miriam on.
My role as community project worker is to collaborate and incorporate the Yemen community with the House of Memories Dementia Awareness Project. There's a lot of pride on Merseyside, especially within the Yemen community. The community and the elders and the young people were very proud of the heritage that we have here, and they were all very excited to be involved in this project. It's also helped to raise awareness of the community that we have and the artefacts that we have. We've been extremely lucky that we had 5 different organisations that were willing to participate in this project. Research and knowledge is key, especially if you're not familiar with the community or the diverse community that you're working with. It's very important that you speak to the core people to get that information through of what the organisation is offering to achieve, and also the core aspects of a project with this had various elements and levels of religion and culture and diversity. So I would advise people to do your research, to go to the core leaders, to the community leaders, to work with them very closely, to visit them regularly, and to take support and guidance from them is very key from the start. If you have your knowledge of the community you're working with regarding their religion, their cultural diversities, then you are able to overcome any barriers or obstacles within the project. Myself being mixed heritage, I am able to liaise with my Yemeni community and then also be able to convey that back to the House of Memories, using the ability that I have to be bilingual and the understanding of the culture as well as understanding the corporate world, which there is a large dividance between corporate kind of work and the community work, whether that be for a hands-on community lifestyle. When you work in the community, everything is very much face-to-face, and in the relationships that you have are built on trust in person. Whereas in the corporate world, we tend to more rely on emails or rely on meetings or rely on things that are more office-based. And there's always going to be that dividance of them two worlds. So I think it's very important to have an advocate or a project leader who is able to build the bridges and mediate between those two different worlds, so that everybody is happy or feels comfortable. And also it helps with general understanding of a community and what religion that they may have and what areas or boundaries that they're not able to change just because it fits in with the corporate world. So I think it is a lot of learning curves for both. One of the highlights of the project is watching the youth, the young people within the community centres from the Yemeni Heritage taking centre stage, being able to wear their traditional dress, to be stand out and proud and showcase, this is our culture, this is our traditional dress, this is the music we listen to, this is our food. They were very proud of that, to be able to showcase it. It was also nice to see the gap being built between young people and the elderly community, with designing the app and sharing the app. It also referred back to the dementia awareness within communities. They were able to sit down with their grandparents and show them pictures of Yemen and show them pictures of artefacts, and it rekindled relationships. It brought the elderly and the young people together. For me, it was to see all of that coming to fruition, as well as the collaboration between the museum and the young people, because many of the community hadn't really visited the museum or didn't feel like the museum was a part of their life, which is after this, it's opened up many doors, and many of the young people that have been involved in our project with the House of Memories have gone on to volunteer in other sectors with this experience that they have had in showcasing the community art. the journey on this project has been a really fantastic journey. It gives me so much pride to see the 5 organisations coming together. It's been an enormous achievement for all the organisations that have come together to make this happen, as well as highlighting the importance of the youth ambassadors and the elderly people that have had the light shone on them at the moment, you know, using the app. It makes them feel important. It makes their memories digitally now are being captured in the app. And our app was launched on the 7th of June, which is now available for everybody to download. And it's now being pushed out nationally to the rest of the UK, and for all the other Yemen communities based in England to also be able to use that and help raise awareness of dementia within the Yemen community.
Okay, so with any luck, Miriam will be joining us virtually any moment, and we're going to be asking for questions from the audience. Hello, Miriam.
Hello, everybody.
So I think I'll make a start, Miriam, while we wait for people to think what they want to ask. So, Miriam, I wanted to ask you, what do we do, you know, at the end of this project to ensure that the relationship with the Yemeni community doesn't fizzle out, you know, and what should we be thinking about now?
Yes, you know, one of the things about a project is the community don't like the abrupt end. Once a project is over, people tend to vanish and go back to their everyday jobs. So my advice, working for other service providers that have done projects, is to keep visible, to keep yourself visible within the community sector that you work with, to stay in contact, whether it's via email or whether that will be to ask to be listed on any of their invitations that they have. You'll find a lot of the community organisations have regular events throughout the year regarding health, social care, arts, crafts, and just to be asked if you could come along and be present, stay in touch, keep the connections going. It's very important to be visual for your organisation to constantly have leaflets in their offices or within their events, to be visual in person as well as vocal, and to sustain the relationship for long term, and for then if there's any other recruitment or anything that's going to be available in your organisation, you have an ongoing connection with the community, and they become friends.
Thanks, Miriam. And I was thinking specifically about young people as well. I know some of our young ambassadors have gone on to work on other projects in the museum, is that right?
Yes, after we'd completed some of our workshops, we then identified within the museum ourselves, we had a youth engagement project that was offering to take in youth from various backgrounds to help with the youth engagement. So we highlighted that position available to them, and a couple of them went on to the museum's youth engagement project. And then also we were highlighted to Historic England, where they came and done some research regarding our project. And again, they had a big event last week in Birmingham for all young volunteers. And 10 of our group that attended our toolkit workshop, they went along with Seba, who's with you today, as a mentor, and went down to Birmingham, and they highlighted the project of the work that they've done with the House of Memories, connecting with Yemeni Elders. And so, yeah, we're just being basically a platform to help them get into the museum and other sectors, given the experience that they've had with us in the last 18 months.
Thanks, Miriam. I believe we've got a question over here, please.
Thanks so much. Just to make it quick, I think it was really great to hear the success of this project, an amazing project, but also the success being located in bringing voices like Sabah in the stages of bid writing, and even the idea coming from a young person within the community. I think one question I wanted to ask is, when you put those funding applications in, I was wondering if any funding actually went to the community groups as well, like in terms of commissioning them beyond voluntary capacity. And then another one would be, I know Sabah, you mentioned how all these different community groups and how the communities and individuals were so engaged with the project and it was such a priority and valued. But within the wider museum, within wider National Museums Liverpool, does this project feel like a priority?
Ooh, interesting. Miriam, did you want to answer the bit about the funding? Do you want me to take that?
Yes, please, Dawn.
Yeah, I'll take it. Okay. Yeah. So we did build in resource for the community groups, and that is one of the things that we've put in the toolkit. Is that we don't want to just be relying on goodwill. Obviously, all these organisations, they have a lot of pressures on. They've got their own projects that they're already running, and quite often taking on extra work to be able to fulfil that. But we also tried to make use of, for example, community centres, and rent those out for meetings and for events. With the local economy, we purchase things from the local shops. So we've got a Yemeni suitcase, for example. We went to speak to the shopkeepers. With our catering for our events, we used local people who were making the hospitality and all of that at home. So really trying to get under the skin and embed, right the way through, and to very much take on the community. All aspects of it, really. Thank you. In terms of, is it a priority? Well, yeah, absolutely. I think that diversity is a priority for National Museums Liverpool. And, this is a project that, although House of Memories is its own directorate, I think that we're really, it very much matches our vision and our mission. So. Thank you. Okay, so we've just got a couple of minutes, I'm afraid. Can we go back to the slides, please? I just wanted to finish really by thanking all of our participants, our elders and our young people, our funders, all of the community organisations that have taken part in this project, and obviously Museums Association and Esme Fairbairn Collections Fund for recognising that this would be a worthwhile project. And just to say, please, do download the toolkit. If you want to speak to any of us, please do get in touch. And just again to thank our panel members, Miriam and Saba and Abdul, who unfortunately couldn't come along with us, but just really wonderful ambassadors for the organisation and for the project. So if you go to houseofmemories.co.uk, that is where you'll be able to get all of that information. Thank you.